I've been avoiding this because I knew it was going to be bad. It's time to review the June budget. It was an expensive month. This is my budget spreadsheet in Google Sheets. Before I get started, there are a couple normal monthly bills that most people have that you won't see in my budget, and that is just because anything that allows me to pay annually, I definitely try to opt for that because it's generally cheaper, and I just have a really strong aversion to monthly bills, as you guys know, because I think they just can add up so quick. And even the small little bills, a lot of subscriptions and things like that, it's definitely a slippery slope. And I know slowly monthly expenses added on to your budget over time are definitely what eats up a lot of money that you just never know where it went. So I just like to avoid monthly bills. So cell phone and car insurance, I pay annually. So I always just start at the top with my income. My biggest income is my W-2 income. I have a goal normally of take-home pay $2,880, and this is from my new job that I just started in May. And I knew I wasn't going to hit that amount for June, but I just put it in there because it should be my normal monthly minimum amount going forward. I knew I wasn't going to hit it for June, though, just because in June I was still in training, and so therefore I had delays in between my work opportunities. I only made $1,178 take-home pay, so less than half of that. My next income is my rental income. I have one rental property. I have a goal of $643.31, and that is rent, which is $1,000 a month minus the property management fee of $99 a month minus the mortgage of $250 whatever dollars. What's left is $643.31, and he did finally pay rent on like the 28th. YouTube, I had a goal of $367. I put this budget together a couple days before the end of the month. I knew it'd be a little bit more than that just because it's always like a couple days behind in updating and processing your totals. So I actually brought home $367.01. And this is actually from the month of May. YouTube pays a year in arrears. A year, a month. And support, I have zero expectation, but there are some people who choose to support me directly through either PayPal or Venmo. And this month, Carol gifted me with $125, and I'm so appreciative of her and just everyone that is here. Anyone who watches my videos, and I appreciate all of you. And then my high yield savings account interest, that is what my emergency fund's sitting in. I knew it'd be about $130. It was $134.92. And now my expenses. Housing, of course, my largest one. It's $1,500 a month to rent here, but through the online portal, it charges like another $50 on top of that just to pay online, which is annoying. So it actually came out to $1,550. Health insurance, $125.44 is what I'm paying now that I'm paying for health insurance through the healthcare system instead of having an employer-sponsored health insurance. Now I'm paying for it on my own, and that's my new fee here for Massachusetts based on my income, even though that'll be changing after the end of July. Electricity, I budgeted $60. It was $34.89. And then gas heat, I had no idea what to expect. I put $20, $15.95. Obviously, I was not running the heat, so that's just minimum. You're going to pay like monthly service and connection fees and all that crap. Internet, budgeted $65. I paid $50. Mohila is my student loan servicer. My monthly payment amount calculated based on my previous job was $334.96. When I took this job, I submitted my new income, and they are struggling to get it recalculated, and it just happened to land at the time where Mohila is... I'm either being bumped to a new servicer or just some kind of new online platform for Mohila, but I think it's a new servicer. I'm not really sure. It's happening to everyone who has or had their student loans with Mohila, so it's not just me, but it's on some administrative forbearance. So for like month 2 now, So another $0 payment. I do think going forward, they gave me a rough estimate right away when I submitted my new income, but the verbiage in the letter was like, this is a rough calculation. We're still working on calculating what it exactly will be. So that's what I'm still waiting on, but the rough calculation was like $89 a month. So I think my payment is certainly going to drop some. So we'll see what it ends up being whenever they can pull it together over there. Gym, I didn't sign up for a gym here because it wasn't worth it once I realized I'm leaving. Netflix, $22.99. Food and household, yeah, budgeted $200. I've already I talked about it in different videos throughout the month of June, but like, mental health has just not been great here, and for me that means not wanting to cook. I mean, also this kitchen is zero inspiration for cooking because I have literally this much counter space and it's just cramped in there. It's not easy to have burners on but also be trying to use that as a chopping and prep space. It's so annoying, and so it's very ambition prohibitive when it comes to me wanting to cook. So that's all of my excuses for why you're about to see this number you're about to see, because I just ate out a lot. $494.74. Now I've done worse. Don't get me wrong, I have done worse, but that's that's way too much. Especially given the horrifying W-2 income month that happened as well simultaneously. It's fine. Like, luckily, I know my boundaries, and I would never do that if I was at the risk of being homeless or going into credit card debt or anything negative like that. I'm not there. So like, I know some people are going to be incredibly horrified by that number, but you know, perspective and personal situation need to be taken into account too. Like, yeah, not great, but not anything I'm going to continue to like beat myself up over. And I didn't let it go beyond my personal limits of like comfort level financially. So just putting that out there, to each their own. Gas and car wash, I budgeted $100, which I don't know why I did that, given that I figured I would be going up to Portland for a boat trip or two, which I did, and I did get reimbursed mileage, but not until like the very beginning of July. So I spent $168.18, and that was also a couple extra trips up to Maine for a reggae festival and to visit my family, so went over budget. Pet supplies, I budgeted $65. I spent $47.38. And investing, donating, and trying to save right now are on hold while I knew my income was going to be really low, certainly. So spending, I didn't have any purchases pinpointed for the month, so I had $0, but I spent $25.59. I bought a few camping supplies before the reggae festival. I bought a hiking pack. I used one on Facebook Marketplace that I shared with you guys. And I bought a couple additional comfortable outfits for boats. So I got like really cheap sweatpants and t-shirts. I sold a backpack as well on Facebook Marketplace. So I sold it for a little bit more than I paid for my new used one. So that helped bring the amount of spending back in a favorable direction a tiny bit. So really not a bad month for spending. However, there's the other category, which also I didn't think to mention any kind of budget for, even though there's a really large expense that I knew was coming. But overall, $1,898.01. I bought a concert ticket. I spent about $44 going berry picking so I could make my year's supply of jam. Totally worth it. I had to pay a couple apartment application fees. Been totally rejected by everything. I spent $227 on my annual business fee. I know that's a recurring expense coming every year, and I pulled that from my annual expenses sinking fund to cover that amount. And then I had a $4.56 gas bill from my rental property that I had to cover, and then $1,549, the equivalent to 1 month's rent, to break my lease here so I can get the hell out of here at the end of July. Worth it. For that, I used a chunk of the small severance pay that I got from my last job when they let me go. I've been saving that for these moving expenses and this moving turbulence once I moved here and realized it wasn't gonna work out. So I had the money to cover most all of that, sitting aside waiting for it. So it wasn't anything super unexpected or anything, but obviously that makes my total expenses for the month dramatically less than my income. But again, sinking funds, God bless them, and setting that severance pay aside. I knew that would be helpful. And now down to my savings, my emergency fund. I had a $30K goal. That's about 12 months of emergency expenses for me, but it's currently at $36,917. I'm just letting that grow every month. With the YouTube pay, I might not do that for July. I might actually need it, although I've been saying that for a couple months now and I've just not bothered to use it. But then also that $134 and change of interest growth. So it's just drifting up over time passively, which is always lovely. And then my sinking funds, I have 3 separate $2,000 sinking funds. I've just lumped them together. They were at $2,150, but right now they're at $1,922, and that is because, like I said, I paid that $227 annual business fee out of the annual expenses fund. So now I owe my sinking funds $4,077, which I don't love that it's more than half empty. That doesn't make me feel good. I mean, spending money you've saved never makes anyone feel good, but I definitely am looking forward to getting my home life situation situated so that I can reallocate focus on building back my sinking funds. I could just pull money from the surplus of my emergency fund to cover the sinking funds, but I don't operate that way. I'd rather just build back that missing $4,077. So that is, again, once I move and get settled and figure out what my budget's going to be and make sure I am going to make all of the income that I'm supposed to make for the month of July. Since we're almost a week in already, it's not looking super great, but I'm trying to stay optimistic. I'm really looking forward to reassessing and getting my head back in the game with budgeting, cooking more at home, which already in July I'm feeling happier. That's because it is my last month here. I have actually started today. I've started taking things off the walls and packing things, and I've loaded the car. I do have a boat trip tomorrow, so I've loaded the car. My trip's up out of Portland, Maine. Once we get back from the boat trip, I'm just going to keep going north to my parents' house and take a load of stuff in the car with me. So that's the first load of moving things out of here. So I'm getting happier as the end of the month comes because this place has not been great. Hello, Pepe. And then my debt, of course, my student loans. There they are. There they sit. There they're going to be. I'll acknowledge their existence. But I don't let them rule my life anymore. I did too many years of that. It was so toxic and mentally stressful. I don't do that anymore. So now we'll just pop real quick over to my yearly overview where I just big picture track, make sure all my bills get paid as we go. Keeping an eye on incomes, keeping an eye on where the rental property's at. Yeah, it just hasn't been a great year for the rental property. The equity growth is where it's at for this property. And then just my various savings accounts and my 401k that I've not been contributing to since my last job let me go, just because first and foremost, haven't had the income to do that. So this has just been fluctuating along with the market. Same with my Roth. And my health savings account has stayed the same. I haven't used it, and I'm still waiting on them to process my withdrawal from an over contribution last year to the tune of $1,082. So I guess that happens when you switch employers and don't pay attention, when they all put like random chunks in at different times. I wasn't paying attention, but that's okay. We'll get it straightened out. And FundRise is my crowdfunded real estate investing, and crypto I don't give a flying hootenanny about. And net worth is never anything I cared about either. And then one day I saw it was going to be in the positive, despite that really aggressive student loan balance. And then suddenly I was excited about the metric and I wanted to pay attention, because just never in my life did I ever think that I would like financially offset that offensive student loan balance. But it happens. So now we check in on the net worth sometimes. I don't know. It doesn't really matter to me, I guess. And it did take a little bit of a hit this month, which is meh, but that's okay. Again, I'm just trying to get through this chapter of moving and job change turbulence and figure out where I'm living. And y'all, housing is just like, oh my God, it's such a thing. Affordable housing is not a thing. And I don't know, apparently there's some massive wait list that I'm just not on. But it's okay. I think after this month, I'm just going to stay with family and see how that goes. I've had family members offer, which even if it's only for 1 month, like that is such a blessing. That's 1 month of not having to pay $1,500 to rent this room, you know? So in that scenario, even though I still would totally want to give any family member some money for allowing me to stay with them and like be in their space, I know how, at least I woefully appreciate my space, and that's why I don't do roommates. Nope. So I'm immensely appreciative of someone kind of giving that up for a time to let me have a moment of reprieve while I figure out what my next step is. So in that scenario, I just feel much better about it being okay if I don't get as many days at sea as I want. Will I meet the minimum? I don't know. I'm trying to stay hopeful, but you know, just in case shit happens and things don't go as well as they should, whatever that means, or as well as I could hope, then it's okay, because of my lifestyle, because I do not like monthly bills and I can live insanely frugally when needed. And I've proven that to myself so many times over the years. Therefore, I have confidence that no matter what, I'm gonna rebuild, and I'm not panicking about having to dip into savings. Obviously, I kind of figured that was gonna happen after 3 months of unemployment, and then training for like 2.5 weeks at not full pay, and then just kind of wafting in this training phase with so much delay between trips. Going into savings was inevitable, and it still might be, you know, who knows? I still have to move and just get everything figured out, and so time will tell. And I know I can do better with the food, and I will do better with the food budget for July and going forward. I know me. That happens every time my mental health tanks. Like, my ambition to cook and do the healthy thing goes right out the window. But I give myself grace, not beating myself up about it, just move forward. Anyway, that's what I got for June. So thank you for watching, and I always appreciate everyone's encouragement. It has been so helpful over the last, always, getting to share my life with you guys in that financial way that I don't talk with the people in my personal life, because talking about money is incredibly awkward and uncomfortable for almost everybody. But just the fact that you guys show up and care and give me encouraging and supportive comments to just like help me get through that is so much more helpful than I can ever say, and I appreciate all of you. And if you yourself had a bit of a high spend month in certain areas because life happens, don't beat yourself up about it. That really just makes it worse and drags it out longer, in my opinion anyway. I hope you guys are having a lovely summer. Like I said, I have started packing and I have other updates I am sharing in a video coming very soon. So thank you guys for being here. I'll see you then.